Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stop Being Sold, a community of informed consumers who are sick and tired of being sold financial products that they don't need or understand. So if you're tired of being a transaction, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another video from us. How are you today, Brian?
Hey, Michelle, I'm doing great today. Thank you.
Great. So we're talking in this video about the real effect of inflation on your investments. It's a hot topic right now. Inflation, is it going to be, we're going into a period of inflation? Is it going to be deflation? Is it this? Is it that? No one can predict the future, so we don't know. But we do know that prices are increasing. And we do know the gas pump hurts. And we do know that when we go to the grocery store, we're not sure if we can afford meat at this point.
Right? We're coming up on Thanksgiving here, and usually this time of year you start to see the massive turkey sales, right? You're not seeing them this year.
No.
And because number one, shortage, number two, the prices have just went through the roof. I mean, so inflation's definitely hitting, and it's definitely on the minds of every consumer today.
Absolutely. And just this week, there's a study out from Allianz Life Insurance Company of North America, and just some key things. It's not, if you're wondering if it's just you, it's not just you, it is everyone. The worries over inflation are extremely high. And a lot of people are concerned about, that how, if it gets worse than it already is, and it really will start to affect retirement plans. People are concerned about that. The study found that 78% of Americans expect inflation to get worse over the next year.
Yeah.
Not so good, and then 69% that were polled say it will negatively impact their purchasing power over the coming months. It already is.
It already is. Just right? Every time you pull up to the gas station,
Sure.
that's definitely affecting your purchase power. So
sure.
We have literally here in Texas have literally doubled gas prices since last year's election.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, just going through the study, I'll read some more things and we'll dive in we'll just define inflation and then talk about like how inflation affects specific investments. But, in the study, there were there's some data that specific to retirement planning. Yes. 72% of the people polled said that they're concerned that the rising cost of living will impact their retirement plans. It's huge. 70% say they're worried that they would be unable to afford the lifestyle they want come retirement because of this, right? We're talking maybe years down the road, but it snowballs, right? And then at the same time, about half, which is about 57%, said they have a financial plan in place to help address the rising cost of living. So that's good. But the question is it enough? Were you expecting 3% inflation? Were you expecting 7%? What were you expecting, right? What's in the plan?
Right. And what did you plan for? And Michelle, our office is fielding calls on this daily because of the concerns out there. So this study is right on. Great timing for Allianz Life to do this. Inflation's here. It's rapid. I think morning CPI numbers were the highest in decades. So
that's the consumer price index.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive in. What is inflation? So we're all on the same page.
Well, we've already talked about it quite a bit, but the easiest definition is inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. You're seeing the decline of purchasing power every time you go to the grocery store, the gas pump, whatever it may be. So, and this is reflected in the increase of an average price level of selected goods and services in an economy over some period of time.
Yeah.
Just look at this year alone. If you went to the grocery store, how much extra are you spending today? It's funny. I was always big on watching, that big box of cereal used to be, however many ounces it was, right? And now the super size is half of what that used to be. So, or the tub of butter. The tub of butter used to be, you can get the big tub of butter for like 3 pounds. Now it's 28 ounces.
Right. It's much smaller.
Big difference.
Right.
20 ounces less. So it's like, okay. And the same cost. So you got to, if you really do grocery shopping, you truly understand, you can see that. in the size of items getting smaller. So,
Sure. So some inflation is good though, right?
yes. Well, think about this. You hear the Fed always talking about they're okay with a 2% inflation rate because the economy is still growing, right? And so a moderate amount of inflation is generally considered to be a sign of a healthy economy. This economy is healthy right now. As the economy grows, the demand for stuff increases. That's exactly what we're experiencing right now. This increase in demand, though, pushes prices a little higher as suppliers try to create more of the things that consumers and businesses want to buy. Which I think, Michelle, ought to take this one step further. Right now, what you're seeing is the shortage of
Supply
items.
chain issues.
Yeah,
shortage
supply
labor.
chain issues are also increasing this.
Well, it's almost like the perfect storm, right?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
it is not almost. It
As
is
a
the
negative.
perfect storm.
Yeah.
It's the perfect storm.
Yeah, you're right. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So you got supply chain issues from companies that were shut down during the pandemic, and now they're getting their workforce back on. There's no parts, this, that, and the other. Labor shortages right now. I mean, I'm seeing big bonuses to come to work for people today. And they're skipping. It's funny. I seen one person I know the other day, they bypassed the interview process. So
Wow.
they had their resume out there on this job site, and all of a sudden, company calls and says your orientation's tomorrow morning. You got $400 sign-on bonus, and you be here.
Jeez.
No
Yeah.
interview. It's like, wow, what a different economy we're in right now. So
Absolutely. So let's dive in. How inflation will affect or is already certain investments. And
Sure.
we want to go through quite a few of them. So let's start with the most basic, savings.
Okay, and that's pretty simple. When inflation rises, your purchasing power goes down. It's that simple.
Right.
If inflation outpaces the interest you earn on your bank account, it feels like you're losing money.
You are.
I have a client long-term client, and she always will tell me, she pulls out a statement or checking statement or whatever, or savings statement that says, Brian, they paid me X amount. It was pennies. It was literally pennies. And she goes, that's not even enough to blow my nose with. And she throws the paper away. So yeah, that's how you feel. You're losing money. So
Sure. All right. What about stock portfolios?
yeah, commodities do better in higher interest rate environments. But if we get a fast rise in inflation, stocks are going to react negatively, especially the growth stocks. And the CPI numbers came out this morning, and the NASDAQ pulled back quite a bit, which is the NASDAQ is more growth-oriented stock. So, but just like the Fed says, though, a 2% inflation is moderate, and it won't affect stocks as much. So just remember that. And Michelle, to follow up on the stock portfolio, stay tuned on that, because make sure you subscribe to the channel, because here in the coming days, we're going to shoot another video that breaks down the history of high inflation environment, what stock indexes perform better, whether commodities, whether energy stocks, banking stocks, whatever it may be. We're going to break that down in greater detail. So stay tuned for that one. So
we'll do one on how inflation affects your portfolio. Yeah.
Over history. And we've got
history, right? The history of it, right? We can learn a lot from that. You know, today's different than it's been in the past, but you can learn a ton. So, all right, we went through savings, stock portfolios. What about bond portfolios?
You know, it's pretty simple on bonds. Bonds are definitely subject to interest rate risk.
Interest rates.
So as rising interest rates happen, it's going to result in falling bond prices. So definitely be concerned about that.
All right, let's talk rental property.
You know, that's funny, because a lot of consumers were rushing to sell their houses this year because of the fast rise in the value of the homes. Well, guess what? That hasn't stopped yet.
Right.
So the values are still increasing. You know, in my area, I know for a fact we see it daily. There's a shortage of houses. So it's more of a supply and demand issue. But traditionally, housing prices tend to rise during an inflationary environment. But again, just like with the stock portfolio, fast rising prices can negatively affect that steady income. And what I mean by that is, think about if you're a landlord, how much more are you paying for maintenance if something breaks down in that house right now because of the supply shortages? So
Sure.
back to your perfect storm. That's where we're at right now.
Okay. So what about cash flows?
Poorer because of the cost of everything going up, and your purchasing power has been depleted or lowered, of course. So same as savings, definitely.
Yeah. And then there's crypto. Specifically, let's talk about Bitcoin.
Okay. Matter of fact, as of this morning, looking over at CNBC real quick, I believe that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high today. Well, we just had high CPI numbers. So is it basically people using it as a hedge for inflation?
That's store of value.
Yeah, it's a store of value. Kind of like gold. Remember, for decades, high inflationary environments was always good for the gold market. So,
Sure.
And I'm starting to see that the crypto market seems to be using it as the same hedge moving forward. So,
well, yeah, just looking
except
at,
for it's digital.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just looking at some of the numbers.
Hold a Bitcoin in your hand like a gold coin. So,
right. Looking at some of the numbers, since March 2020, Bitcoin was hovering around 6,500.
right.
Now it's hovering around 67,600. That's like a 943% increase.
Right.
In less than a year. What is that? A year and a half? March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, it's
months.
not. Yeah, it's pretty good. So that speaks volumes right there. Right. About what inflation is doing to the cryptocurrency market.
And think about this, the stocks, the bonds, the crypto, whatever commodities, they're all a front runner of where we think the industry is going to go to. So if it's still climbing and Bitcoin's still climbing, like I said, just hit all-time highs, is that the premise that people still believe that inflation is going to go higher? That's exactly what the Allianz study just shown.
Okay. All right. So last one, what about we saw this in the Allianz thing, the retirement account concern. How will inflation, if it continues to get worse, affect retirement accounts?
Well, it's nice if you can still contribute more, but it's hard to be paying more now if you're spending more at the gas pump. So I had a client tell me last week that they're spending an extra $45 a week.
Wow.
So you're pushing $180, almost $200 a month extra. Well, that money could be earmarked back towards their retirement savings too. So, we did a video the other day about the contribution limits. Do contributions limits even matter to the average worker right now, when their purchasing power is being depleted due to the high cost of inflation? What you experience on a daily basis has an impact on how much you can save. And the less you save, the less opportunity you have to earn more.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's like seed you plant today.
Right.
Grows into the tree 20 years from now. You don't plant that seed, you don't have a tree.
Nope.
So, okay. Well, this has been really eye-opening and super informative. And if you like the content of this video, please hit that like button. We'd appreciate it. And also subscribe so you don't miss another video from us. And also be on the lookout for that inflation, how inflation is, the history of how inflation has affected stock portfolios.
There you go. That's going to be fun. That'll be a nice one. We got some nice data for that one. So
for sure. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching and have a great day.
Thanks, Michelle.